Hey, everybody who, is disappointed or excited about the election. Guess what we have today? Something completely unrelated to the election. So if you are very devastated right now or in the middle of just getting flat out wasted from excitement, don't worry. This will be completely irrelevant. So without further ado, welcome to the GSMC Weird News Podcast with your host, who has always been your host, Jordan Giles. And as you can see from no one else talking in between me, I don't have a host today, a co-host, so it's just going to be me doing the stuff for a while. Hang in there. I hope I'm your favorite. If not, this is going to be very awkward. But let's just push on through anyways. How are you guys doing today? Can't answer that. That's fine. Well, as you guys have known from the introduction, a lot of people on my Facebook feed are just blowing up with either like, oh, I'm so sad, or get out of here, Miley Cyrus, you said you would do it. So, well, that is a very terrible situation that's happening, that everyone's so divided. Hopefully something like this weird news stuff can just kind of pull us back together. Like, instead of us talking about the bad things or the good things that are happening right now, let's talk about bad things that were happening in 1960s. Yes, that is right, folks. We are going all the way back for a weird news in history. Now, specifically, one of our favorite subjects of things that we hate, sexism. Sexism in the 60s, you may think, that's preposterous. We didn't have it back then. Maybe you're right. Maybe I'm lying. But in the off chance I'm not, let's talk about the Pall Mall 1960s Girl Watchers ads. The Girl Watchers ads, you're wondering, huh? That sounds very not sexist at all. It sounds like a very fun thing to do, like bird watching. Well, you're wrong, and I'm about to tell you why. You see, girl watching actually did kind of start off as a parody of bird watching, when these ad men, much like the show Mad Men, were in their office staring at women and thought, hey, if bird watchers can have a thing, we should too, because there's absolutely no difference between women and birds. Science will say that that is actually a fact. We found there is a complete correlation between women and birds and bird women, but neither here nor there. They were onto something. Let's start by telling the world about girl watching and all the techniques we do it, like doing it nonchalantly, acting like you're tying your shoe and looking up. There was all these crazy techniques to get people to just stare at women. And the crazy thing about it, guys, this is going to blow your mind, completely justified back then. No one said, hey, do you think maybe this is a bad idea that we're writing books and we're just kind of broadcasting the fact that we're just staring at women that are, walking down the street? I mean, even had pins for it. They even had pins to show that they were members of the girl watching society. Nope, nothing like that. I don't see anything wrong with it, Jerry. You're doing fine. Did you see that one? Here, quick, look like you're tying your shoes. So that was the 1960s for us, guys. And anyone who's saying how terrible this has been, it's always a great thing to look back a couple decades ago, because much like, I don't know, video games, music, sometimes, I'm going to get a lot of hate on that one. Come on, we had a few bad artists back then. I can think of a couple songs I never want to hear again. Specifically that Lady in Red. Once again, unpopular opinion. I will take the heat for that. Send in the hate mail. I'll read it all personally in a bathtub while crying. But I'm saying what the point is here, you can go back a few decades and realize, hey, we're not doing so bad right now. Things could be worse. And things were worse. So this thing was so widely accepted, nobody really thought anything wrong with it, up to the point where Pall Mall, everyone's favorite cigarettes, had a advertisement campaign based on it. Now, Pall Mall, they're very, I'd like to think, as far as morals go, they are the cigarette of principle. They are the cigarette of morals. They're just such a great company. Absolutely not, because back in 1960, once again, that magical date, they released things like a cartoon picture of a woman in a lab coat, with boobs and everything, with two men watching. One man is actually distracted, while he's at a water fountain, and water's shooting him in the face because he's too busy staring at the woman. The caption of this is, Don't let this girl's costume fool you. She's not really a mad scientist. Hold on, I'm going to try to do it in my 60s, like, you know. She's not really a mad scientist. She's a girl. A real live girl. It's just that she has to prove something to herself and to her family. She has to prove that she has a brain and that if she ever has to compete with men on their own terms, she can do it and win. But she really doesn't want to compete with men. In her heart, she wants to attract men and eventually marry one. The girl watcher should the girl watcher, it's a term now. It's just a label that we give people. That's it's not bad. It's something that we advertise. Okay. The girl watcher should not let this situation disturb him. However, if the girl is watchable, she should be watched, no matter what her motives or ambitions may be. The same thing is true about a cigarette. If it's smokable, it should be smoked. And Pall Mall is the most smokable of all. So I don't know if any of you guys there are like, "Oh, that's a good advertisement. I think I might pick up cigarettes now." But that was just a normative thing. Nobody thought, "Oh, wow, whoa. Hold on, take a couple steps back." But on the bright side, I mean, we're not really big fans of cigarettes anyways, right? So we can say this is going to be outdated, like, you know, this is going to be hieroglyphics in a few years, and that's something that's good. That's what we're striving for, hieroglyphic cigarette ads. But that's not even all of the ads that they had here. I'm going to read off one more of them, which is a librarian who's climbing a ladder while two men are looking like they're reading a book and just staring at her. It's another cartoon. Pall Mall's great at drawing. The book stacker serves the cause of classical literature. Sorry, guys. Literature in various ways. Perhaps the least of these is in keeping the rows of books properly aligned and the jackets free of dust. Her most important contribution is improving the environment for study, enhancing the halls of learning with her own classical forms. Many a college man has discovered a previously unfelt craving for knowledge simply because he received his copy of Homer from the hand of a deep-breathing redhead who sighed, "I think Homer is the most." Yes, it pays to take a good look at classics now and then. Among cigarettes, Pall Mall is a classic. Famous length, fine tobacco, no flat, filtered cut flavor. So, no, Pall Mall, I think they were just, kind of in a room, and they're like, what's the best way we can just make everybody hate us in, 5 years? And they're like, I don't know. I mean, we have this hat full of, slips of paper of just crappy things throughout life. I think, being a pervert, just comparing women with cigarettes. Oh, we got a double right there. Let's double play. All right, let's put this one in print. I think we got a winner here. So, this was a thing that was happening just throughout there was even the worldwide girl watching society, and it came to a head whenever men stopped being chalant about it, as chalant as you can be about having a pin on your shirt that says, "I'm going to stare at you if you're in proximity, if I can see you, and I'm going to act nonchalant about it." They even had little cards to rate women, like excellent, nice, fair, and they would circle the card, and they would give it to the woman that they were non-discreetly looking at, and the women were to take it as kind of a compliment, like a quiet, "That's so nice of you for sending me a card that says I have an excellent butt." So anyways, this all came to a head when a woman named Francine Gottfried, she was just an average, your everyday lady who was working for a New York City's financial district. She acquired this, she got a little bit of a celebrity status going when within 2 weeks of September, this is late 1968 here, an increasing number of men began watching her as she walked to work, and they dubbed her Wall Street Sweater Girl because she had big boobs and, she was curvaceous, as they say, and people just instantly dropped all the subtlety and just started staring at her. It got to the point where 2,000 people were waiting for her on her daily route to work. That 2,000 people were gathered waiting for her to leave from her house to get to her job, and we're just staying there watching and waiting, which has got to be the most uncomfortable thing, that all of these people are just lined up just to see, just to see your body. Like, this is... I still don't understand it completely. She didn't know how to handle it herself. She was like getting called constantly at work. Her boss told her to stay home because people wouldn't stop calling the number, asking like, "Oh yeah, is Francine there? Hey Francine, what are you wearing today? This stuff." And even people in like the news got a hold of this, and they were putting up her full name and her address on like newspapers and magazines, like not just clearly on her side about things. Like, oh yeah, this is going to be good for her. This is the attention she needs. She's going to love this. So it turned out that over 5,000, like it was 5,000 people left work early and poured into the streets so they can watch her exit her, train station. And this just kept happening where more and more people happened. And it's more and more people were showing up, more and more people wanted to check her out. And she just had no idea what was going on. Eventually, she started taking different routes to get to work, longer ways, mixing it up, stopping there, moving from that place to that place, just to throw people off because shamelessly people were staring. And unlike today, where we can have social justice, we could say, hey, maybe you shouldn't be looking at her like that because that's probably going to make her uncomfortable. Not the case for these people. Magazines were like, oh, yeah, this is fine. Anyone who was disagreeing was, oh, are you crazy? She loves this. It's fine. What are you talking about? This is great for her. And it just became this very uncomfortable situation. Nobody knows where Francine is now. There are rumors so that she's this or that. But if the moral of the story is anything, let's not be creepy. If you're doing something, you're like, I'm not sure if this is creepy or not. Think, what would 1968 do? And if your answer is probably what you're doing, baby, slow down. Hit the brakes on that one, okay? So we're going to have to go to a commercial break. When we come back, we're going to be talking about some more weird new stuff, possibly even better than this, maybe even less depressing. Who knows? So you guys hang in there, and we will see you very soon.
Are you looking for help for your fantasy football team? Check out the GSMC Fantasy Football Podcast. Get today's best advice on who to start, who to sit, even who you should draft. From sleeper picks to red-hot lineups, they got it all covered for you. That's gsmcpodcast.com/fantasy-football-podcast. We'll cover traditional leagues, dynasty, PPR, even IDP leagues. When you need fantasy help, there's just one show to hit up. Don't forget to like them on Facebook and follow them on Twitter. Visit gsmcpodcast.com for more info.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast. I'm still Jordan Giles. That hasn't changed in the last 10 minutes as far as I'm aware of. But as I did say before, hopefully things would be a little bit, less down, a little bit less depressing. Maybe. We are now going to enter my little segment of Weird Things with Animals, and that is still a title pending. And I can't really promise that this is much better. Maybe better in a different direction, but I'm still a little bit upset with this one as well. So this happened actually pretty recently, so get the 60s out of your head. And That 70s Show, too. They're not related, but I don't know. I'm getting sick of it. So anyways, this one's going to be more of an animals episode. It's going to be very... Not at all. I'm sorry. That's not true. But this is going to be an animal story. So, you guys know retirement homes, right? It's where all the good people go when they get old. And the bad people, too. Actually, I don't think that there's a real set. You just go to a retirement home regardless. So, there was one that was in Volusia County. We all know that as being Florida. Capital of retirement buildings for people that aren't in America, where a squirrel entered and it attacked. A vicious attack. Now, I don't know if anyone's ever heard of a squirrel attack before. I haven't, except for on TV shows and cartoons and things along those sorts. But it sounds very deadly, or at least this one in particular does. Now, this squirrel injured 3 people where it was going about biting people, jumping on their head. It sounds really comedic right now, but I'm sure, at the moment, it's like, oh, no, this is terrible. No, I'd probably still be laughing, but I'd feel guilty about it. It's one of those, it's a guilt laugh situation. So the squirrel was leaping from person to person, biting them, running away. One person needed 11 stitches from the bites and claw marks from the attack. At least 3 people were attacked. A lady had a bad mark on her forehead where she had jumped on her. Another lady had scratches on her hand. And we all got it at once, said Thrush, who was a attendant there at the facility. And in the there was a call for it on 911 where people are, getting attacked. In the background, people can be heard frantically yelling, "The squirrel is still in here!" So it was definitely a moment of panic for everybody. It was. It's not funny though. It's not. I promise you. So the caller told the dispatch that someone threw the animal out the door, and they threw it out of the building. And they were just, we need help for the people. It turns out, though, that the squirrel is still in there, and they're laying out traps now to catch the squirrel. So while the panic was still starting to subside, everyone then remembered, no, he's still around. I need to remind everybody that this isn't funny. So if you're laughing, you're bad people right now. If you think, oh, that's so funny, a squirrel has attacked 5 people, evaded the police, and is still lurking through the ventilation shafts like some weird predator from a sci-fi movie, you're a bad person, but that's okay. So am I. So the squirrel still escaped. He's somewhere in the retirement home. I can hear this Michael Myers Halloween music theme in my I don't have to do it. You know what it is. I am actually just imagine a squirrel going through a ventilation shaft in your head, and then just insert a horror movie song. It could be Michael Myers. It could be Psycho with Alfred Hitchcock. It just dun 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 dun. Anything. This episode should be dedicated to me butchering horror movie soundtracks. So this squirrel is still out and about now. This isn't the first time a squirrel is attacked. To me, this seems like just a crazy situation because all of my encounters with squirrels end up being with, oh, yeah, friendly little guy. I wish you'd get a little bit closer so I can feed you, but that's fine. You're scared. I should be scared of you, probably. You have more hair than me. That's a bad sign. But this is a situation that has happened a lot. This isn't our first time. There was a squirrel in California last year in the area of Pleasant Valley, where 8 people have been reported attacked by it, and they were bitten in the arms, legs, hands, and head. Victims are even included a child and an elementary school teacher. 3 have also, they reported that the squirrel jumped out of a tree and attacked the victims. Much like ventilation shaft predator squirrel, this is also something which... I hope that name makes the papers. Ventilation shaft for predator squirrel strikes again in the nursing home. He just comes out of nowhere, jumping aerial onto people's heads and attacking. This seems like a rabies kind of situation, but I don't know. If anybody would like to send in mail, I would love to hear personal squirrel stories, if that's even a thing, because once again, I've never known them other to be this thing that we mutually fear and respect each other. Like, you live on my tree, I live in your heart, et cetera, et cetera. But they were trying to get people to stay calm in that situation because one person said he jumped me 3 or 4 different times. When I got him off, he'd get back on. So if another person would have to say, I got him off my shoulder the first time. He was clinging pretty hard. When I got him off, my hand and my arm were torn up. Eventually, the Williams, one of the guys who was a victim to the squirrel, chased him off, but suffered injuries to his right arm, hand, leg, lip, head, and in the battle. So officials believe the lone squirrel was hand-raised and was subsequently lost its fear of humans. Public health authorities said those bitten received 3 rabies shots as a precaution, even though the likelihood of a squirrel having rabies is extremely low. Keep that in mind, people that are afraid of squirrels now. Rabies are low. But as a precaution, officials asked residents not to feed wildlife and cut back trees that hang over roofs. or close to telephone lines to remove the chance of surprise attack. Before I close this one up and go into the next story, let me just say, much like an alien or predator in a sci-fi movie. So, with that being said, guys, we're going to have to take it to a commercial break. I hope that you guys weren't too afraid of 1960s and squirrels so far. We'll put it in more social fears next time. When we come back, we'll be talking about a family that was kicked out of a buffet and a few other things. So stick around, and I will see you guys very soon. Also, by the way, very serious, if anybody does have any good stories of, oh yeah, that time I was attacked by the squirrel, please mail it in. I really want to see this stuff. I won't even read it out if you don't want. I would love to, though, but I'm so curious. They're not the friends we always thought. They're maybe possibly godless killing machines, so we'll find out, and we'll see you guys very soon.
Tired of searching the vast jungle of podcasts? Now listen close and hear this out. There's a podcast network that covers just about everything that you've been searching. Hey! The Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network is here. Nothing less than a podcast bliss with endless hours of podcast coverage. From news, sports, music, fashion, cooking, entertainment, fantasy, football, and so much more. So stop lurking around and go straight out to the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. Guaranteed to fill that podcast itch. Whatever it may be. Visit us at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Follow us on Facebook and Twitter, and download us on iTunes, SoundCloud, and Google Play.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back. We've done 20 minutes so far, 22 if we're counting the commercials, and it's been a wild ride. Very groovy. Oh, man. And you know what that means when we hit 22 minutes and I start saying words like groovy. Our show is quickly coming upon a close, but we do have time for a couple more things to get into. So let's just try to power through them, right? I hope that this is, when you're listening to this, you're like, I was recently upset, but now I'm not upset anymore. I was recently excited, but now I'm at a nice neutral. That's all I hope. So now we're going to go on with our next story. This is going to be about a woman who was horrified because her family got kicked out of a buffet for eating too much food. Now, that is the biggest... Before I just break into the story, I want to say that's the most embarrassing situation I think I could be in. That's the thing that I'm most afraid of, is when someone says, hey, Jordan, you're eating way too much right now. You got a problem. You got to go. I mean, we said all you can eat, but we didn't imagine somebody like you coming in here. So, God, no, I'm sorry. I just kind of beat myself up right there. I don't want to do the show anymore. That hypothetical just kind of scared me a little bit. All right. No, don't worry. Show must go on. So this woman, she was out with her family. This is a woman named Tracy Clarenson, and she took her son to his favorite place to eat for his 7th birthday. So on top of that, you thought that this was just going to be like, they're calling them fat. That's an insult. It's also a child's birthday. Keep that in mind as well. So, so they went to the local buffet, and an employee kicked the entire family out because he was eating too many crab legs. They were actually finishing up with their meal, and towards the end of the meal, the son came back and told him that he was told that he couldn't have any more crab legs because he ate too many. She said she was shocked that they said that he ate too many crab legs. The mother explained to the worker that they were all eating, but and the little kid was just picking them up for all of them to eat. And they explained that there were 7 people at the table. Only 3 of us were eating the crab legs. And her 11-year-old was just going up and grabbing it for them. And she said, and this is a quote from her, she told us, "That's all you eat. You don't get any more. Get out if you don't like it." And she didn't understand that, the basic concept of all-you-can-eat buffet, there's a few problems with being told you can't eat anymore, you have to go. This is like a Simpsons episode. This is specifically a Simpsons episode. So, the kid also, he's a very young kid. He was very upset about it. He was so upset that in the morning he told her, "Mommy, can we go back? I don't think so, honey, she said. He kept asking, this is so sad, the way they're making this out. He kept asking what was too many, and why did William eat too many? He didn't understand. This is like, I would be devastated if someone said, you're eating too much at the buffet, you need to stop right now. But just the extra layer where it becomes this like, are we going to lose the house? You know, like, oh, what's... I'm sorry. He just, like, this, what's too many? What, did he eat too many? I don't understand, Mommy. What's going on? Don't worry, son, it's just a buffet. We still have the house, and there's like 10 other restaurants we can go to. So, on the bright side, those things I just listed, nothing else bad happened to this family. But, and she was quoted as saying, obviously all-you-can-eat buffet was not correct. I'm upset that my 7-year-old son's birthday is ruined and that she confronted my 11-year-old and told him that he couldn't have any more of something they advertise that they have, she said. So our prayers and thoughts go out to this poor family. I would be more afraid of the social faux pas of just feeling like, oh no, I need to go on a diet. They're cutting me off the buffet. But at the same time, I wouldn't probably treat it like oh no, is his dad coming back from the store? Well, he didn't come back last year, boy. He's not coming back this year either. So hopefully the family has a more positive spin on it now. They're on the news. That's fun. He can go to his another birthday, maybe at like a Chuck E. Cheese or something. I've never seen a 7-year-old go to a buffet. To me, it seems like he has his priorities in order, though, if you ask me. He already knows what the future is and what's valuable, and it's not tickets and tokens. So I guess with that being said, guys, tickets and tokens, that's the ending of the show. I'm going to have to take us out now. I hope you liked it. We've had a lot of fun. We learned that the 1960s were a mixed bag of nuts. Speaking of nuts, squirrels, insane. Can't stress that enough. And getting kicked out of a buffet is awful, but you shouldn't think it's the end of the world. It shouldn't. Let's not create it with a Gone with the Wind scenario. Let's give it all right, let's pick up a Weight Watchers pamphlet. Either that or let's write them a seriously bad Yelp review. So with all that being said, guys, if you did enjoy us, you could check us out on GSMCpodcast.com. That's not all, though. We actually have more places. You have us on iTunes, Google Play, SoundCloud, Stitcher, all of those. You can even like us on Facebook, and you can follow us on Twitter. To those of you that do like us on Facebook, I can't stress this enough, send in, rate, review, subscribe on iTunes, and just kind of let us know what you think about it. I would love to hear some fun stories about squirrels or just fun stories about buffets. If you have a good buffet story, I would pay you to listen to that. Don't quote me on that, though. I would really love to listen to it. So with all that said, I hope you guys have a great day, better tomorrow, and until next time, stay sauced. Stay saucy. Wait, no, that's the one. Stay saucy. Yes. All right. See you guys later.
You've been listening to the Golden State Media Concepts Weird News Podcast, part of the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network. You can find this show and others like it at www.gsmcpodcast.com. Download our podcast on iTunes, Stitcher, SoundCloud, and Google Play. Just type in GSMC to find all the shows from the Golden State Media Concepts Podcast Network, from movies to music, from sports to entertainment, and even weird news. You can also follow us on Twitter and on Facebook. Thank you, and we hope you have enjoyed today's program.